November 22, 2021. Good evening, televiewers, and thanks for joining us for another edition of the 6 p.m. English news over the Republican television. Let's begin right away with our headlines. The regional delegate of Public Service and Administrative Reform for the North region, Justin Stephen Obam, has called on state personnel in the region to come out in their numbers and take the COVID-19 vaccine in order to kick the deadly virus off the region. The Minister of Post and Telecommunication, Mined Libum Lekeng, is in Douala to inspect hotel and sporting infrastructure embarked to host the 2021 African Cup of Nations in Cameroon. The digitalization of driving licenses and professionalization of driving school proprietors was the subject of a seminar that took place this day at the Letong Presbyterian Church in Yaoundé. Those were our headlines. We will be right back. We begin the news with this excerpt where the Minister of External Relations, Lojon Mbela, has granted in audience the Ambassador of France to Cameroon, His Excellency Christophe Gou, this Monday, November 22, 2021. The almost 2 hours discussion focused on how to strengthen relationship ties between Cameroon and France and on regional issues. Let's now take a listen to the ambassador speaking in an excerpt carefully selected to us by Anne Umeko.
I want to thank the Minister of External Relations, Mr. Lojon Mbela, for this very lengthy audience. We had almost a 2 hours meeting during which we exchanged on bilateral issues and regional issues. He also briefed me on his participation to the Paris Peace Forum, where he represented Cameroon. And on my side, I briefly exchanged on the new French African summit that took place last October in Montpellier. But beyond that, we had very fruitful discussion on bilateral issues and regional issues.
Let's now take you to the North region of Cameroon, where the regional delegate of Public Service and Administrative Reform, Justin Stephen Obam, has called on state personnel in the region to come out in their numbers and take the COVID-19 vaccine. He was speaking this Monday, November 22, while launching the vaccination campaign in Garwa. We have details with Isaac Ngonkum.
Civil servants, public officials, and state agents of the North region have been encouraged to be vaccinated against the ravaging COVID-19 pandemic. The official launch of the campaign this Monday, November 22, 2021, was carried out by the Secretary General at the North Regional Governor's Office, personal representative of the governor. The activity initiated jointly by the Minister of Public Health and that of Public Service and Administrative Reform in Yaoundé is supervised at the regional level by the regional delegates of health and the public service, who appreciate the launch of this campaign.
Le lancement officiel signifie pas que l'opération n'a pas lieu depuis le 10 novembre.
This launching today is an occasion for us to tell our civil servants and public agents the importance of taking the COVID-19 vaccine, not as an obligation, but as a necessity for all. We would like that the North region receive the yellow jersey by the 10th of December when this vaccination campaign comes to an end. Therefore, we are calling on all public servants in the North region to come for their COVID-19 vaccine for their own good, for the good of their wives, their children, their neighbors, and their loved ones.
Pour nos épouses, nos époux, nos enfants à la maison, pour nos voisins au quartier.
Some residents of the North region who have been vaccinated could not hide their feelings.
Je suis en contact permanent avec
I'm in permanent contact with customers. And I touch so many banknotes per day. When I go to deposit money in the bank, I meet many people there, and there we are still talking about money. That is why I choose to take the vaccine in order to stay clear of the virus. The advice I can give those watching is to go for the vaccine as well. I don't think my life or their life is more important than that of those who have publicly taken the vaccine on television. Let's beat fear and win against the deadly virus.
Tout le monde fasse par tous les moyens pour se vacciner.
Other officials and state agents will continue to be vaccinated in the days ahead in order to achieve the goal set by the government of Cameroon and the World Health Organization to combat the coronavirus pandemic.
The digitalization of driving licenses and professionalization of driving school proprietors was the subject of a seminar that took place this day at the Coleton Presbyterian Church in Yaoundé. 15 seminars to be dished out to 1,500 transport actors, police and the gendarmeries, which will help handle, and many drivers will be controlled of corruption. We have Ruth Fonyong in the following report.
I can assure you that Press Spring is up to the task, can give any solution to our administration. Because now, as I was saying, the system that governs the driving license system in Cameroon is a set of modules, and those modules can be used in other administration. For example, the module of the automatic generation of driving license exam paper can be used by Cameroon Baccalaureate Board or GCE Board or the Directorate of Examination, Certification and Competition to the electronic governance of the official exam paper.
The follow-up module has once again been revised to control the activities of driving schools.
Also a module of follow-up of driving school learners. That module can be an effective tool in the hand of subject animator, regional or divisional or national inspector of the secondary or basic education for the follow-up of the activities that is carried out in those schools.
Stakeholders of the sector believe such a seminar will go a long way to help actors.
I think a training of this nature is very important, especially to the proprietor of driving school. Because what I have noticed in Yaoundé and its environs is that the proprietor of a driving school will open a driving school in Yaoundé's center town, for example, Namasi, but he will open that satellite driving schools all over the town and even out of Yaoundé without prior authorization from the Ministry of Transport. So I think a seminar of this nature should help the administration of transport.
How to address the problem of road security in order to curb the rate of accidents in Cameroon was the subject of a seminar held this day in Yaoundé.
The lawyers of Ayuk Tabe and others who were arrested and locked up in connection to the Anglophone crisis have decided to stop going to court. Violation of their clients' rights, prolonged court hearings are among many reasons advanced during a press conference that was held in Yaoundé. And Umeko attended the press conference and compiled the following report.
Defense lawyers of Ayuk Tabe and co. leaders arrested in connection to the Anglophone crisis rocking the restricted northwest and southwest regions of Cameroon decry the inhuman treatment on their clients and constant violation of their rights since their detention at the Kondengi prison in Yaoundé. The lawyers say there is constant violation of national and international laws.
We think that Cameroon is a state of law, and we think that some of these things that are happening, we need to take special note of it, because they are in constant and persistent violation of local and international laws that are well ratified by the state of Cameroon.
A disturbing situation as lawyers on their part are not able to meet and communicate freely with their clients.
You go to visit your client at Service Centre de Recherche Judiciaire. They will bring a chair and they put you face to face with your client, but gendarmes are standing there and they are staring at you as if you are a thief. You don't have any confidentiality to discuss with your client. This is not good for our society. Cameroon is a state of law, it's a civilized state. We don't think that some people convert Cameroon to a mundane state, to the early man regime, and that we begin to watch at it.
The pain is deeper as some men in uniform are accused of extorting huge sums of money from detainees, giving them hope that they will facilitate their release.
We have clients that are in Kondengi today that some OPGs, judicial police officers, collect as much as 450,000 francs from them, telling them that, assuring them that they were going to go and assist them in the military tribunal for them to be set free.
The lawyers, quite uncomfortable with the whole situation after a fruitless journey towards fair judgment since 5 years counting, tell the press November 16, 2021 in Yaoundé that henceforth there will be no court session until lasting solutions to these problems mentioned are addressed accordingly.
The Universal Peace Federation have this November 22nd, 2021 presented to deputies a plan of action towards peace, understanding, harmony and unity in Cameroon. The meeting that took place at the Yaoundé Conference Hall was an opportunity to hand over this responsibility to deputies as they are closer to the public. Let's take a listen to Dodo George, Director of Education of the Universal Peace Federation, carefully selected to us by Anne Omeko.
So Universal Peace Federation feels we should bring our understanding and knowledge together in order that we can move forward human prosperity and shared values that contribute the solutions that separate us, and that today we find a lot of disharmony, disunity, because the principles that living for the sake of others are not being practiced. So Universal Peace Federation today want to share some of these aspects that go aligned with what we also call the culture of heart, the culture of feeling, the culture of relating to one another based on the universal principles of sharing the common origin.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you're just joining us, you're watching the 6 p.m. English news over the Republican television. Let's now talk sport, where the Minister of Post and Telecommunication, Minette Libum Liliking, has this day in Douala expected hotel and sporting infrastructure embarked to host the 2021 African Cup of Nations. The objective is to assess the internet and telecommunication offer in the country's economic capital, as Cameroon is left with 48 days to start the competition. We have details with Isaac Ngonkum.
As the countdown to the 2021 Africa Cup of Nations narrows down, the government of Cameroon is intensifying preparations to give participants a memorable stay in the country. It is in this light that the Minister of Post and Telecommunications, Minette Libum Liliking, on the high instructions of Prime Minister Joseph Diangute, is currently sojourning in the nation's economic capital, Douala. This Monday, November 2021, Minister Minette Libum Liliking visited some hotel establishments in Douala before inspecting the telecommunication gadget installed at the Japoma Stadium to boost the internet and telecommunication offer during the competition.
Et vous savez que les comités jouent un rôle déterminant pour la réussite.
As you know, telecommunication and ICTs have an important role to play in the success of the 2021 AFCON that Cameroon is prepared to host. That is why my technical and administrative staff came here to evaluate the state of our installations. We are really satisfied with what we have seen here in Douala. At the level of hotels, the internet connection is excellent. Here at the Japuma Stadium, you can see the broadbands that were installed here for the CHAN. We will only have to increase them for the AFCON so that the journalists, specialists, spectators, and all those who will be coming here can stay permanently connected to the internet. We can therefore say that Cameroon has already won the first victory, the technological victory with the quality of technological infrastructure in the country.
Parce que ce que nous avons vu garantit que les technologies sont au rendez-vous.
All in all, telecommunication stakeholders in the country must continue to work hard in order to keep the economic capital of Cameroon connected to the rest of the world during the 2021 AFCON. In order to fulfill the saying, the world has become a global village.
The state of Cameroon has less than 8 days to officially hand over the Olembe Stadium in Yaoundé to the Confederation of African Football for the 2021 African Cup of Nations. In this regard, the Minister of Sport and Physical Education, who doubles as the president of the local organizing committee of the competition, Narcisse Moel Ekombi, visited the construction site over the weekend to evaluate the progress of the work in order to ensure they meet up to the deadline in November 30th, 2021. We have details with Isaac Gonko.
The clock is ticking and the 30th of November is around the corner. The date Cameroon promised the Confederation of African Football (CAF) that the Olembe Stadium in Yaoundé, tipped to host the opening and closing ceremonies of the 2021 Africa Cup of Nations, will be officially handed over to CAF after paying an ultimate inspection visit to the construction site on Saturday, 20th November 2021. The Minister of Sports and Physical Education, who doubles as the president of the local organizing committee, Narcisse Moel Ekombi, expressed satisfaction with the progress made thus far and remained optimistic Cameroon will beat the November 30 deadline.
I am satisfied by the works because we have a very rigorous planning of works to respect scrupulously in order to reach the aim, that is to say, the end of this month of November. I am optimistic and I am in the firm conviction that we are going to reach this objective.
The giant screens were being erected while the tartan on the athletic track was also advancing in a reassuring pace. Perhaps the biggest satisfaction was the external decoration where the pangolin scales are already taking shape and giving the Olembe Stadium a unique identity. Minister Narcisse Moel Ekombi, however, urged McGill Construction Company International to multiply workers on the site for work to continue 24 hours on 24. In any case, the Sports and Physical Education Minister is constant. The opening and closing ceremonies of the 2021 Africa Cup of Nations will be staged on the Olembe Stadium on the 9th of January and the 6th of February 2022, respectively.
And on to news out of the country, the health authorities in Central Africa have begun a vaccination campaign against COVID-19 in the country's rural areas, as only 7% of its population have been vaccinated so far. We have this story and more in the following report. The Central African has so far vaccinated only 7% of its population against COVID-19 virus. For the health authorities of this vast country, which is second least developed in the world according to the United Nations and has been in civil war since 2013, the challenge is as much to obtain the vaccine as to convince people of the necessity to get vaccinated. Nevertheless, vaccination campaign has kicked off this Monday, November 22nd in Central Africa's rural area. Hundreds of protesters rallied this Monday, November 22nd, outside the White House in Washington, D.C. to voice their support for the Ethiopian government and denounce the U.S. government's foreign policy there. They held signboards expressing support for Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed and also slammed U.S. sanctions on the country and its neighbor Eritrea, which they said were meant to force Abiy Ahmed to give in to his aggressors. Abel Gashe, a protest co-organizer, say Ethiopians can govern their affairs and therefore do not need the interference of the United States. Protesters were all over waving Ethiopian and Eritrean flags, denouncing what they termed as Western bullying. For the meantime, the U.S. has sanctioned Asmara for its role in the conflict in Ethiopia. After a week of house arrest of Sudan's Prime Minister Abdallah Hamdok following the last month coup which claimed about 40 lives, he officially returns to government under a deal signed with military leader General Abdel Fattah al-Burhan. This act has caused a number of Sudanese youth to take into the streets of Khartoum, Kassala and the northern city of Atbara on Sunday protesting the newly signed deal between these two. The youth expressed disappointment at Prime Minister Abdallah Hamdok, saying they will not agree any deal involving the army.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have come to the end of our 6 p.m. English news, but before we leave you, a recap of our major stories. The Regional Delegate of Public Service and Administrative Reform for the North Region, Justin Stefan Obam, has called on state personnel in the region to come out in their numbers to take the COVID-19 vaccine in order to kick the deadly virus of the region. The Minister of Post and Telecommunication, Minette Lebum Lelikeng, is in Douala to inspect hotel and sporting infrastructure embarked to host the 2021 African Cup of Nations. The digitalization of driving licenses and professionalization of driving school proprietors was the subject of a seminar that took place this Monday, November 22nd, 2021 at the Coliton Presbyterian School here in Yaoundé. Thanks for watching. Desiree Trésor-Bonnet will be with you when it's exactly 8 p.m. for news in the French language. But until then, do stay tuned to interesting programs over the Republican television. Have a wonderful evening.